Oh, no, no.
This video is sponsored by Full Moon Features. If you or someone you know loves horror collectibles, be sure to check out Full Moon's Tiny Terrors, the perfect gift this holiday season. For more information, click the link below, or stick around till the end of this video.
Ho, ho, ho.
You know, it seems to just never fail, this whole Scream 7, Spyglass Media, all these shenanigans. All of this stuff broke out right before Thanksgiving. And now we are here, Christmas Eve, day before Christmas Eve, whenever I end up getting this video posted. And we're talking about some Scream 7 drama again. So yes, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and welcome, as we are here to discuss the departure of Christopher Landon from Scream 7. This sucks. I'm just going to come right out and just be forthcoming with that. I think that we've been very open, that at least I know I was fairly optimistic about this. I know, Luke, you seemed pretty excited to have him step behind the camera. He seemed like a very intriguing choice, especially based off of the films that we had gotten prior and just the direction they took it. But yeah, I mean, I'm not that surprised, I guess I should say. I guess I'll start off by saying that I think that there was a lot of trauma and a lot of mess that came from the Melissa Barrera situation, and then only like a couple days, a week later, the whole or I think it was just a few days, other stuff that happened with Scream 7. I mean, it's just been such a mess, and we're here now. So, Luke, you've heard it, or I guess read it, from the horse's mouth. Christopher Landon posted on Twitter today that he has stepped off of the Scream 7 property. How do you feel about it?
Not surprised. I think maybe the writing was on the wall, especially as we started getting so much news of people leaving Scream 7, or, just not coming back, not having the interest, or so, for me, it's kind of like one of those, almost let's scrap whatever we had going with Scream 7 and start completely anew. So I'm not necessarily surprised. It would have, like you, I was excited to see what he was going to bring. I liked the idea of having a new director step in and kind of give, hopefully, some sort of fresh take on Scream 7. So, it sucks, but it's not necessarily something that is blindsiding me. And I think maybe a lot of people could say, well, with so many departures, it just kind of makes sense to, get a new script, whether it's new characters, a new voice, returning characters, just start anew and see what we get. So not necessarily surprised, but it does suck.
Yeah, I mean, I think that things got really, really toxic really fast with not only the whole situation, but the community. I mean, he had that backlash, which we both were pretty vocal, I thought was pretty goofy, from the community. I agreed too that some members of the community, and I know you did as well, that this was just unnecessary to really rape him over the coals for this whole Melissa Barrera situation. He had nothing to do with that. He had no control on her getting fired. And what sucks is that, not to dive too much into the drama here, I mean, that's pretty much what this is, but it's one of those things where it's like, I saw people, and Christopher Landon himself reposted a lot of people, just sitting there and being like, oh, this is what you get. Like, I'm happy that you're gone because you didn't stand up for Melissa Barrera. You fired her, you piece of shit. And he literally is responding with, I didn't fire her. That wasn't my call. Like, and people still believe that. And it's just like, it's goofy, man. It's like, look into the situation if you're going to say something about it. Because, yeah, I mean, it's just, this is upsetting, because I think that whether it was going to be that Sydney solo movie that we were discussing in our last video back right before Thanksgiving when we were talking about this, or if this was just going to be a continuation and we were going to bring in some new people, whichever way they were going to go, I was excited to see his take on this. It's like Happy Death Day, Freaky, these are all intriguing modern slashers. They're not my favorite films, but I think that they're fun, and they definitely hit those Scream tones. Like, you can tell they're very inspired. So it was like I thought that he would have been a really excellent choice. And I don't know what it is about this property in particular choosing to drop this information around holidays. I don't know why, but like, yeah, this happening right before Christmas, and a lot of people are now saying we said it last time. We're using the same banner, but that Scream 7's dead, and that I think the Scream reboot trilogy is dead as a whole. I think that this might just sign, the white flag and say, okay, let's hold off on Scream for a little while. I know there. I'm not the only one to think that. Luke, how do you feel?
I don't know necessarily if we're gonna place a big hold on Scream 7. I think they're going to re-rack and kind of, I think the biggest thing is getting an idea and a script down. And once you have that, I think it's going to be, green lighted. Let's get this thing done, just because it is such a money maker. So I think, with this, it's not necessarily dead. I think, it's going to be prolonged in terms of we have to find a new plan here. We have to find new characters, whether it's going to be a completely fresh take, or it's going to be, we're going to bring Sydney back, Patrick Dempsey, and continue that story. So, I think the great thing about Scream is that, it's one of those ideas where the idea can be so expansive, where, you can start fresh and it can feel organic in a sense, going into Scream 5, dealing with a lot of new characters. Yes, we had those returning characters, but if you wanted to start completely fresh, I think there's an idea behind there. If you want to go back to Woodsboro, if you want to start somewhere completely new with, we saw it in Scream 6, where just killers being inspired by previous killers. I think you can go that route as well. I think there's a lot of ideas. I think what we do need is a fresh take with Scream. Our displeasure with 5 and 6. Coming into Scream 7, I am excited if we're going to do a new take. I also think there's some gas left in the tank if you want to bring Sydney back. So I don't necessarily think it's completely dead. I think, it's going to take probably a couple more months before we get a good script under our belt and kind of have that idea and we get a new director attached. I think this one is still going to be a go. It's just going to take longer than we thought to get there.
Yeah, I'm firmly in the camp right now. I think that, you're totally valid for believing this and thinking that that could be the route, because yeah, I think that, if Spyglass's attitude has been anything, it's been, we're going to keep pressing forward. I don't know, I just have an odd feeling, and just looking at a lot of the diehard Scream fans that I follow, whether it be YouTube videos, Twitter, Instagram, I think the consensus is, and I'm not talking about, scoop droppers and stuff like that. I'm talking about genuine fans who make all kinds of essays and videos. I think the consensus here is that they're probably going to let this sit for a while. I don't think we're going to get a Scream 7 when this initially does pick up. I don't think Spyglass is going to drop this at all. I think that the Scream 6 was, I think, the second highest grossing horror movie of 2023. So it's like they're not in a position to say, you know what, no, we're just going to throw this all away. I think they're going to wait till the heat dies down. And I think those rumors that we heard about remakes, I think that that's going to be where they go. I think whether that's what people want or not, I don't necessarily want that, but I think that that's going to be the direction it hits. I think they're going to go for a straight up remake.
Yeah. For me, as we've talked about on the channel, there's a lot of crossover in pro wrestling and horror. And, living in the pro wrestling world and knowing, the internet is very expansive for pro wrestling and a lot of chatter and things like that. And there's always displeasure with a certain product, and the internet community is very vocal and saying, we're standing tall. We're not going to do this. But the general consensus is that internet community is only a small portion of a big audience. And I think that's probably the case here in terms of, yes, I think a lot of diehards may say, no, we don't want to see Scream 7, but a general audience that doesn't know necessarily all the chatter, all the intricacies of what's going on will want to see Scream 7. And at the end of the day, it's about a box office. It's about what's going to make the most money. And right now, Scream is a big property. And, the way you look at it, diehards in the horror community, maybe not as much commentary, not enough not a lot of things going on in terms of behind the scenes, but how displeased were we with David Gordon Green's Halloween? Did we still go see Halloween Ends? Of course, we were there opening
We
night.
did. Did we still go see Exorcist? Well, not as many people, but yes, a lot of people did go and see Exorcist. We gave him another chance. You're right. So
Yeah, and for me, a lot of people, if Scream 7's announced, I'll say, I'll be there opening night. I
Mhm.
can't, I'm gonna go see the newest Scream property. Us being a horror channel, I'm definitely gonna go see it.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna, lie about that. So that's the thing where I think if Scream 7 is announced in 5 months and we have a director attached and we have an idea behind it, do I think a lot of people saying that they're not going to go see it are going to end up there seeing it, buying a ticket? I would say so.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get into the whole, theoreticals of, who's going to step in to replace him. I think that, this sucks. I definitely feel for Christopher Landon, especially, again, the fan backlash was pretty disgusting to see, in my personal opinion. I think that, directors at the end of the day, they're hired for a job, so they don't get to make all of the calls. It's like, yeah, they get to make a lot of creative decisions, and more directors have more power than others, but he's clearly not somebody who had, full control of, what was going to happen with this situation. He could only bring so much of his own vision to what Spyglass had in mind, and at the end of the day, they're the ones forking up the cash. So they made the call. I think it's bad business. I think that, in today's day and age, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to see a company go so hard out there and push this out there, and then to really, come back not with really trying to dampen the flame kind of statements, but more or less just trying to say, oh, this is how it went down, when we now know that there was definitely a little bit more going on behind the scenes, as far as Jenna Ortega already being gone and everything. They didn't play their hands right, and I think that that's worrisome. But I mean, that's, if there's anything we learned through the recent writer strike and actor strike, it's like, yeah, that's Hollywood, that's business, that's how these studios think. So yeah, I'm upset by this. I think this sucks. I think that Luke is also, as he said, he's upset by this, but this is what it is, and this is what we're dealt with. I'm right there with you. I'll be there to see Scream 7 or the Scream remake, whatever this ends up being, because yeah, we're gonna cover it, and and it's gonna be exactly how you put it. Did we go see Halloween Ends? Yeah, we liked Halloween Kills. We still had issues with, David Gordon Green's Halloween 2018, and we still went and saw The Exorcist after really hating Halloween Ends. And it's because we want to go give it our own shot. We want to give it our own opinion. So it's nothing to do with, I'm siding with the studio, I'm siding with the actors, I'm siding with the director. It's purely based on me being a horror fan and really wanting to see what's going to happen. Because at the end of the day, we got to remember this, and I want to say this before we wrap this up. Whatever new director steps into this, whatever new cast steps into this, be kind. Just be cool about it. Just understand that they didn't do anything with this. They didn't sit there and say, Spyglass, please fire all these people, get these people to quit, so that way, I can come in and make this movie. That didn't happen. So, check your emotions at the door, let these people cook and see what happens. Okay. You can be upset with Spyglass. You can do whatever you want. I don't care, but don't go after the creatives. That's just childish, and it's upsetting.
Absolutely. No matter whatever the controversy is, I think you do have to check that at the door because, regardless of how you feel about a company, there's a bunch of creatives out there that are itching to get their hands, to be given the keys to the kingdom in a sense, and show us their take on the Scream franchise. And there are probably a handful of great creatives out there that have a great take to expand the Scream universe, whether it's returning characters or a completely new take. So for me, I'm really intrigued to see what the future holds for the Scream properties here. If we're going to get a new take or an expansion on some old things as well. I want to see what creative does step behind the lens here, what cast is attached to it, and overall what we're going to actually do. So, whenever Scream 7 does come out, like I said, I will be there. I definitely want to see the take. It does suck that Christopher Landon's not going to be attached. I think, in terms of if you would ask me cold completely, if you could have a new director for Scream 7, and he would have been probably in my top 3 to say I think it would have been an intriguing take. I would have loved to see what he would have done. So that does suck that he did exit the actual property itself, but I'm excited to see what creative's going to step in and kind of give us a new take here and kind of revive the Scream franchise and get away from all the controversy and kind of bring, that prominence back.
Absolutely. And hey, all this means is that, we get to see a new, hopefully original creative take, or maybe another attachment to another property that we all love from Christopher Landon, as well as we still have Universal's, film coming out with Radio Silence and Marissa Barrera. Or Marissa Barrera, Melissa Barrera. I don't know. I could never get her name right, and I'm such a piece of shit for that. But anyway, that's pretty much everything we got here, folks. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope for the best for these guys, everybody involved. It's unfortunate to see that's where the Carpenter sisters story is really ending, and that's where everything's going to go. But hey, crazier things have happened. We've had people come back. Maybe after, this property changes a couple of hands in 20 years, we could be sitting here with, the Carpenter sisters coming back, Christopher Landon stepping into the director's chair. Shit, just it goes everywhere. That's all I'm gonna say. So
time
we
and
can
money
really see
changes
anything.
a lot of attitudes. So
absolutely,
we'll
so if you guys really want to see Christopher Landon, Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, all these folks back for the proper Scream 7, keep that train going. We got the Snyder Cut. I mean, that was something I didn't care if we saw that or not. I liked it, but it was one of those things where it's like, hey, enough bitching on the internet for years and years, it'll get you there. So keep on going. But anyway, that's going to wrap us up here, guys. Definitely check out our Christmas content. We're deep into December to Dismember. By the time this posts, we're only mere hours away from our grand finale, which, is going to be, if you can't tell, we're talking about a little something that we're very excited to discuss. Big horror, big Christmas horror. And it's going to be a good time. And also, we did just post our little promo with full moon features for the Tiny Terrors. Check it out. We had a lot of fun shooting that. It's a little different than what you're normally seeing from us. And I'll give you a little snippet right here. These aren't your run-of-the-mill keychain ornaments or paperweights.
I couldn't agree more. The quality here is very impressive. You can tell they put a lot of thought into creating these figures for any full moon and horror fans.
Now I know what you're thinking. How can you get your hands on the Tiny Terrors? Well, it's simple. Follow the link in our description below and you'll be able to order them individually, or if you're a small business owner and you want to stock these guys on your shelves, they also have options for retail sales as well. But yeah, check out that full video. It's a lot of fun. And guys, until next time, I am Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.